Hi, and welcome to our podcast, Learning Leading Now, where we talk all things education in Mobile County Public Schools. I'm your host, Sally Erickson. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist in the Office of Communication here at Central Office. I'm joined by my coworker,
Mike Herndon, Public Relations Specialist, also in the Office of Communication.
And our very special guest is Dr. Valerie Johnson. Welcome, Valerie.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we wanted to have you tell us all about the Mavel School, but before we start, I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about our general impressions or maybe general stereotypes about remote learning. So, Mike, you want to start?
Well, I think there's probably this perception out there that remote learning means you're always on a computer and you never see anybody face to face. But I know at the MCPSS Academy of Virtual Learning, that's not necessarily the case, right?
That's not the case.
Well, and the stereotype that I have is, oh boy, that was what we did during COVID.
Exactly. So you may or may not know that Envision Virtual Learning was established in 2014. So that was way before the pandemic.
I definitely did not know that.
Yes, it was.
I knew that.
So this academy was established back then. But in 2020, around 2020, they changed the name to the MCPSS Academy of Virtual Learning, and especially with the pandemic, lots of things changed, and so it's been sort of a back and forth, and so now we continue to really think about what our community, what our students need, and now the Mavel has come to be sort of a blended learning program where you do most of your learning at home, but then you also come in for face-to-face learning and especially testing.
See, I think that'll be news to a lot of people, is that it's a virtual school, but you do things in person.
Yes, that's the one thing that we offer that I think you really can't get anywhere else. I try to think of it as the best of both worlds. So you get to work at home, lots of independent learning, but then also students come in on campus. They're invited to come in on campus like pretty much all day, every day for tutoring. So if they need additional support from teachers, and also they come on campus for testing. So we do see our students usually about once a week. So that's fun.
That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also thinking of when my son was in middle school. He was struggling for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I got him signed up for tutoring. Mm-hmm. Tutoring was perfect for him. That sort of learning environment really helped him get over some problems.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about the value of that type of education.
Mm-hmm. So Mavel offers lots and lots of different opportunities for kids, but the one thing that we offer is one-on-one support, which is what we all need sometimes, is one-on-one support. And so students do most of the work at home, but whenever they have a question or if they need some one-on-one tutoring, that's what Mavel teachers are there for. So sometimes kids will just have a quick question like directions related to this assignment, and they can just do a quick email or a quick phone call or a quick Google Meet. Which works well, or if they're really having trouble, really grappling with a particular subject area, we invite them to come in for face-to-face. I think we can all agree that face-to-face tutoring is best when you're really struggling with a particular content area. Come in, let's do a 30 or 60-minute session, and to really help students get on track. So that's what's really great about Mavel is students learn lots of independence, learn how to be very responsible at home, but then they also, when they need it, it's self-paced, and so if they really need some help, need to spend more time learning about a subject, they have that time.
Can you tell us a little bit about where our virtual school is? I'm always tickled when people ask, where's our virtual school?
It's online.
Yeah, right. It's in the cloud.
So we are located on Murphy High School's campus. So we're the one building that faces Wilcox Street. So it's one whole building. We've got, I think, 5 or 6 classrooms in there. So it's a great, pretty centralized location. It's right off of Dauphin Street, just a block off of Dauphin Street. So it's right there on Murphy's beautiful campus.
So it's open during regular school hours, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the teachers and me, we do not work at home. We are on campus every day, all day, every day. So teachers are always at Mavel.
Okay. I thought it would be good to just start by talking about your ideal Mavel student or your ideal online learner.
Yeah. So I often use 3 adjectives to describe the ideal MAVEL student? Independent, motivated, and responsible. First of all, we need our students to be pretty independent. You have to in order to succeed at MAVEL, and that's our goal. We want our kids to do well. We want 100% of them to be able to succeed academically. So the first thing that you need to be is pretty independent. In essence, we're taking away much of the teacher support. You will not have your teachers following around after you. Not that that's what teachers do, but we're taking away lots of that daily support. So students have to be pretty independent. They have to also be motivated. Which is something we all struggle with sometimes, but MAVEL students need to be self-motivated. They need to want to be able to do this work, and then thirdly, they need to be very responsible. They're often juggling a lot of balls in the air, lots of keeping track of all your assignments, when you need to take tests. Do I need to schedule some tutoring? In addition to everything else they do in their lives. So it's those three things: being independent, responsible, and motivated. That's what an ideal MAVEL student entails.
Well, I wondered if we could go back in time just a little bit. Mike, you were working here during COVID. What were some of the major issues that you heard from parents or students about with remote learning?
Well, obviously, the in-person, face-to-face class time was what was lost during all that. So we fortunately were able, our friends here at MCPSS TV, to create remote learning for everybody during that period, which was great, so they didn't fall behind, but it's not the same as being in a classroom. And that's why I think what Dr. Johnson talks about with having some in-person tutoring and kind of relationship there is better than just straight virtual with nothing else. You talked a little bit about what type of student excels there. I know you've had some students who have come out of that and it's been the perfect program for them. What are some examples of some success stories you've had?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can think of two seniors who graduated this year, and they were kids whose one in particular, his grades were not great coming in, and he was kind of on that 2.5 GPA, just right there at the lower end of what we usually accept. But he ended up making AB honor roll for second semester, and so his parents and all the teachers, we were so proud of him and how he was able to improve his grades. And then we had the other one that I'm thinking about. She worked incredibly hard. She had some struggles at home, some things to overcome that meant some barriers that many of us never even have to think about. But this 17-year-old girl got it all done, and we worked very diligently with her, and she did too at home, and she got it done. So it's lots of our students. They've had difficulties for whatever reason and are looking for another option. And so MAVEL can be that option. It's not for everybody. Most kids do best in face-to-face, but sometimes face-to-face isn't working for a variety of reasons. And so MAVEL offers that additional opportunity for kids who need something else, something different.
And do you find that when you see they're struggling in a classroom setting, is it the flexibility that's the biggest plus for them when they come to
I would say so, yes. Some kids, they thrive at home. They get distracted sometimes at school, again, for lots of different reasons. And some kids just work best at home, and they're more focused at home, and they're not as distracted at home.
Well, I remember hearing a couple of stories about students during COVID who discovered that they could get a part-time job and still get their work done.
Lots of MAVEL students.
And that was a whole new concept about
Yes.
education for me anyway.
Yes, lots of MAVEL students have jobs, and they can work 20, 30 hours a week. I generally don't recommend more than about 30 hours because then their schoolwork starts to suffer, and we, of course, don't want that. But yeah, lots and lots of our juniors and seniors have jobs, and so they can earn extra money, which is a great thing for everybody. And then, having that added responsibility is a good thing.
Mike, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about student athletes and other types of students who need really flexible schedules in order to get the extracurriculars done.
Well, with a lot of sports, everything is basically year round. And if you're going to compete, you've got to participate in that sport year round, which for most sports isn't a problem in a traditional high school setting. Some of the elite athletes or dancers or, people in elite programs like that may put more time into it, that may make something like this a little more kind of fit their schedule better, so they can do both. And I'm sure you've had a few examples of that. But also, I think it's interesting that if a student comes to Mabel and wants to compete, one of the drawbacks for them might be that they don't get to compete, or they think they don't get to compete at their high school football or sports or band or whatever, but that's not the case, right?
That is not the case. Mabel students are duly enrolled, so they can, they're still enrolled at their base school and at Mabel, so that means that they can participate in any activities, and especially athletics. You can still be a cheerleader at your base school, you can still play football at your base school, all of the things, you can do both. So that's a great plus.
Yeah, I think some people don't understand how important that is for a lot of kids. But that those extracurricular activities are, my daughter was a big swimmer, and if she couldn't have done that, that would have been a problem. So still having that ability to do that is important.
And to add on, we had quite a few athletes, especially this past year, who traveled all across the U.S. And, lots of times when they were back at their base schools, they would miss school on Fridays and Mondays, like a lot, because they're traveling. And that's when most of the competitions take place. And so they would have a lot of absences, and then their grades would sort of suffer also because they were missing instruction and learning at school. So Mabel was a great option for them because then they could make it work. They could do their schoolwork in a few days. They could work on it on the weekends, in the car, whatever, and get everything done. So that it can be a really great option for families who have extra travel time.
Well, I was looking at your prospectus about Mabel, and I was surprised to see that there is a uniform policy.
Yes, so you just when they're on campus, they need to be in uniform, please. Yes, we're still an MCPSS school, so we have to follow all of the policies, and uniform policy is one of them.
Well, what about attendance? How does that work?
Attendance, so we still fall under MCPSS board policy, so it's the same thing. So they get up to 8 parent notes, and of course, if you go to the doctor, please turn in your doctor's note. But our kids really don't get very many absences. We do not take attendance every day. We take it at the end of the week, and it's based on the work that you complete during the week. So that's how we take attendance. So if you don't do any work that week, we're going to mark you absent. But if you get everything done, then you're good to go.
Well, talking about the well-rounded child, I'm sure you've heard a lot of feedback from parents who are concerned about the social aspect of a child who is only in virtual school. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I am very aware of that. As a parent myself and a former school counselor, like the social and peer interactions are very, very important to students' development. So like I personally am very aware of that. So yes, it is a concern. It's a valid concern of parents and then us at the adults at Mabel. So we call them face-to-face Fun Fridays, and we invite our kids in pretty often for different types of activities. So already I'm planning for next year several different days for seniors to come in. So for some college and career readiness options and talks and discussions and presentations. Also thinking about how we can help our middle schoolers to have more opportunities to talk and have fun with each other. So on those face-to-face Fun Fridays, they're invited to come in, and there are different purposes to each one. But sometimes they come in and it's like we'll have a summer reading one at the end of August. Our students were supposed to read books, just one book over the summer, and they're not going to have to write an essay. They're not going to have to do a big project. It will be fun and engaging and really help them talk through the book. And then I'm doing like some ACT prep, things like that. So those, in order to combat the issue of not having enough opportunities for social interactions, those face-to-face Fun Fridays offer that. And we have a very laid-back atmosphere. It's always very calm and comfortable at Mavel, and students really like that. And so when they come on campus, our kids, they have a really good time. That's a pretty close-knit group of kids, and they have, lots of time to just hang out with each other sometimes on those face-to-face Fun Fridays. So there's a focus for learning content, and then we also do some games and different activities to help with social interaction.
Well, so in your average Mavel class, is it like your average Zoom call where you have a whole bunch of students and a teacher and they all can see each other like on the Brady Bunch?
So not quite. So there are different, depending upon which courses you take, depends on whether or not you're on a Google Meet or something like that. So our students who take regular coursework, they're in Access Distance Learning, which is through Troy State. And so they have VCI classes, which is a video-based. So they have opportunities for live instruction. So they might be on a Google Meet. So yeah, you might be with 20 or 30 kids on a Google Meet in Access classes. And then we have different options too, like our teachers often record themselves, and then the students at home can watch those recordings at their leisure when they need to. And there again, that's another benefit. Like if when you're in class and you don't understand something, the teacher doesn't stop. She can't stop. But at Mavel, you can re-watch the recording, which is a really cool feature. So when all of their learning, whether they're in Access, whether they're taking honors classes with us or whatever else, when you re-watch that recording, or you can pause it and, make sure you're taking better notes, or stop and listen to it 2 or 3 times to make sure you understand that, if only we all had that.
If I could have rewound some of my teachers, that would have helped me a lot.
Sometimes when you're in trigonometry or physics, yes, I would have definitely benefited from that.
That would have helped me a tremendous amount.
Would have worn that rewind button out on Trig. Tell us a little bit about, you mentioned the Access courses, but there's a whole range of different courses, honors and AP and dual enrollment, right?
Yes, we offer many, many different courses. So our kids all of our kids have access to Access courses, which if you want to Google it, they're all up, available for everyone to see. So yes, regular coursework, honors coursework, which is what the Mavel teachers deliver completely 100% by us, which I really like. We also offer dual enrollment courses through Bishop State, and then AP courses also through Access. So we hadn't done any AP courses for a couple of years, so I'm restarting it. It's because my own son benefited greatly from taking AP courses, and he was so well prepared for college, and so it's a really great option for kids who can handle the coursework.
Well, and this may be a trick question, but do you have students who go to real life school who also take a couple of virtual classes?
We do. It's dependent upon the high school, but we've got several students who do the patient care technician at a couple of different high schools, and so that works well. They can earn their career tech courses for their credentials, and it's more based on careers after high school, which is a good choice.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And we've also got kids who are at Faulkner and Bryant. So
Wow.
They do have half of their day at Bryant or Faulkner and learn what they need to learn there, and then they do their Mavel coursework at home.
So you can have your cake and eat it too.
You can. You can.
What about concerns parents may have about screen time? Is that an issue, or
Good question.
or is there enough of a back and forth that's not really a concern?
That I would say it needs to be a concern for all of us, adults too. I think we can all agree we all spend too much time on our phones and computers. So yes, that is something. That's a really hot topic right now, as it should be. And the research is out. It shows how incredibly terrible too much screen time is for kids. Students kids' brains, young adolescents' brains are still developing, especially for our middle schoolers and early high schoolers. You know, I personally am very aware of that. And so I would say parents, you need to do a really great job of limiting screen time, especially phone. And it's so hard. It's such a hard battle sometimes. We all love our phones so very much. But in the context of virtual learning, so of course our kids are going to be on their computers quite a bit more than a student at a base school. So parents, like we just need to make sure that we're very aware of it and that we limit our kids' screen times in the evenings and on weekends. Really closely monitor our kids on what they're accessing online, and be very aware of it. Again, I'm a parent too. I'm very aware of too much screen time and of the negativity behind it. Also with social media, like I would say I'm pretty up on it, and so I think we all need to work together, parents and educators together, to think about limiting what we can do together to limit screen time. So yes, that's often, you can ask the Mavel teachers, that's often a conversation that we have. And that's another thing that we want to make sure that we offer those blended learning opportunities, the face-to-face times for our kids, to make sure that they don't spend too much time behind their computers.
So what is the perfect Mavel parent? What sort of interaction do you have with your parents in terms of moving everybody forward in the right direction?
Oh, wow. We have such great parents. Like they're just so supportive and wonderful, and just whatever we need, they give to us. We have wonderful families at Mavel. So like they're just so many great ones. I would just say they just need to understand that they're an integral part of their students' learning. And in my orientation for parents, I always talk about, you know your kids best. And so you have to think about, like, if your student is going to need a lot of your support at the beginning of the school year, you need to offer that support. You might need to follow behind your 6th or 7th grader, or even your 12th grader a little bit, to make sure that they're doing the work, that they're getting things done. You might need to monitor their grades very closely. And we show parents how to do all that. But then, we've got lots of kids who come in very tech savvy, very independent, and they need very little support. So parents, like, you just have to know your kids, like as teachers do. We have to learn to know our kids really well and know what they need and know what they don't need. And so parents are the same way. They just have to understand that they have to take part in their students' learning. And especially with our 6th and 7th graders, it takes more parental control and input. Whereas, I tell the parents, like, if you've got a student in 11th or 12th grade, your student needs to do the work, and just, they're going to be an adult in a couple of years, so let's make sure that they truly are independent. You offer support, you scaffold when you need to, but working together to help every kid succeed.
Well, I asked that question because I'm thinking in particular of some of our parents during COVID who ran into truancy issues.
Yeah.
And all they had to do was walk down the hall and hit a button and make sure their child was logged on, right?
Yep.
But of course, with actual education, it doesn't work that way.
No, that's not always how it works. And kids are smart. They can outsmart us sometimes. So it's sometimes very difficult for even educators to stay ahead of kids. Like with AI coming in, like you really have to stay a step ahead, and that's very difficult.
Well, I'm glad you said that you have all this orientation for parents, because I do feel like there's so many parents like me who think, oh, my kid knows this a lot better than I do. I don't know how to check behind him.
Right.
So I would feel overwhelmed, I would think, under certain circumstances.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
You mentioned the blended learning opportunities. Is there like a set schedule for that, or if a student feels like they need a lot more in person, can they kind of direct that themselves, how often they come in?
Yeah, they can. We've got kids who come in 2 or 3 days a week. I can think of several of them who are with us 3 days a week, pretty much all day, 3 days a week. And that is perfectly fine. That's how they prefer to work. If you come into Mavel, it's a very relaxed and calm all the time. We have different learning spaces, so whatever the student prefers, that is completely fine. And then, when I forgot the other part of your question. Wasn't there another part?
Oh, just, is there also a kind of a schedule? They've
the
got to come in
schedule.
a certain amount of time, right?
No, they don't.
Okay.
They don't. We always recommend, especially at the beginning of the school year in August and early September, like you need to, I tell them in orientation, you need to block out a good 30 hours a week. It can be 8 hours one day, 4 hours the next day, you know, so on and so forth, according to your schedule. So that's very flexible. Parents and families, I mean, students and families have lots of autonomy there, but you do need to work 30 hours a week. We've got, if you want to do well, you still have to put in your 25 or 30 hours a week, just like you would in your base school in order to do well. We don't want you to just barely pass by the skin of your teeth. That's not our goal. We want all of our kids to do well, to make A's and B's. And so that you have to put the time in.
Well, I think it's really interesting to think that we've got this great resource and we've had it for so many years, and yet there's so many of our parents and families that don't know anything about Mavel.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. Like, we had no idea you were here. I hear that all the time.
Well, what are some other basic feedback issues that people may not know about? What are some questions you commonly get?
Just basically what Mavel can do, what we offer. And so I'm trying to get out there this summer and just share the information to make sure that more people are aware of what we can offer kids.
Well, and summertime is a great time for parents to be evaluating their students and trying to figure out what is the best way forward in the coming school year. So what are some different ways that parents can learn more about Mavel?
Well, they can visit our website, so mcpssvirtuallearning.com.
Virtual learning.
mcpssvirtuallearning.com. We also have a Facebook page, so we would love for you to like and follow our page and visit our website, or you can always give me a call, and I am happy to answer the phone calls.
And also for parents who are interested and want to apply, what's the process there?
They just go to our website and click on apply, and there's a Google Doc right there. And I review them every week.
And is there a deadline?
There is not really a deadline. I mean, my goal is that we have everybody pretty much ready to go by the beginning of August. The first day of school is Monday, August 11th. So my goal is that we have everybody by then. But I do take kids throughout the year. It's just kind of, you know, we have kids who have extenuating circumstances. So we do, I don't have a hard deadline of when a cutoff registration deadline, because for that reason, kids have extenuating circumstances. Things happen, and that's what we're there for. So really, no hard deadline. But I mean, I would prefer as soon as possible. It helps us to be more organized if parents go ahead and try to take care of it at least in July.
Well, and that's a good reminder a good opportunity to remind our listeners that we really want everyone to go ahead and get their kids registered for school as soon as possible, because we've got a plan, and summer is the time to make those decisions.
Well, it not only makes it better for the school to get started with the school year, but it also makes things easier on the parents to go ahead and have that out of the way, to where that start of school is a nice, smooth transition.
Yes.
Right. And get it done, people. And if you have trouble, just give us a call on the main number, and somebody can help you walk through the process.
Or at least get you to someone who can.
Yes.
Right. Well, Dr. Johnson, I want to thank you for all the wonderful resources that you're offering our students. And I think it's fantastic that we've got this great virtual school and these wonderful educational options for our kids. Yes. That's about all the time we have. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on Learning Leading Now.